let's talk about something. For a whole generation of professionals, the word stress, well, it just doesn't really cover it anymore, does it? It's become this generic, almost meaningless term for a feeling that's actually way more intense. Today, we're diving into a condition that goes way beyond stress and a pretty unique tool that's been engineered to handle it. And this quote, it just nails it. This is the heart of the matter. That massive gap between the calm, capable professional on the outside and the absolute inferno of frustration on the inside. This isn't burnout, where you just crash and can't perform. No, this is different. This is a state of being highly functional while fueled by a deeply suppressed anger. And it actually has a name. So what is this feeling, really? It's not just being mad. It's a very particular kind of rage that you absolutely cannot let out because you're the one everyone relies on. You're the problem solver. And here's the paradox of functional rage. We're not talking about people whose performance is slipping. These are your top performers, your go-to people. They are crushing it professionally. But that high performance is running on a fuel of constant simmering fury that's just barely kept under wraps. It's this exhausting, nonstop internal battle. This all leads to a state called functional freeze. Think of it like this. You are Atlas, holding the entire world on your shoulders. And from the outside, you look strong, you look capable. But inside, your nervous system is just screaming, redlining in threat mode 24/7. So you keep performing, but you feel completely disconnected, cynical, and just empty. You hit a huge milestone at work and feel nothing. You're not a person anymore. You're just a function executing its programming. So what's keeping these incredibly capable people stuck in this loop? Why not just walk away? Well, for a lot of them, the answer is a pair of what you might call golden handcuffs. And it really all comes down to the economics of rage. This really says it all, doesn't it? On one side, you have that deep human instinct to just get the hell out of a toxic situation. But on the other, there's the cold, hard reality of your financial life. And for so many people in this generation, there's one single obligation that changes the entire psychological equation: the mortgage. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, how this psychological trap works. Our natural response to a threat is fight or flight, but a mortgage basically takes flight off the table. You can't just run. So all of that powerful, instinctual escape energy, it has to go somewhere. And so it turns inward. It transforms from a flight instinct into a suppressed fight response, pure, simmering rage. Your job stops being a career, and it just becomes this impersonal machine you operate to pay off the debt. And that creates a huge sense of alienation. Okay, so if the problem is this specific, this tangled up with our financial lives, why don't the usual fixes for stress work? Well, it's because you can't just meditate your way out of a debt trap. Functional rage isn't just stress. It's a completely different animal, and it needs a completely different kind of tool. This chart just lays it all out. Therapy is obviously valuable, but rage doesn't wait for your scheduled appointment on Thursday at 6 p.m. A rage room? Sure, it feels good to smash things for an hour, but there's no cognitive piece to it. The anger just comes right back. And meditation apps? Oh man, telling someone in a state of genuine fury to just breathe can feel like a total invalidation of their feelings, almost like gaslighting. All these things fail because they don't give you what you need in that moment: an instant, private, and validating release. And this is where Synphoria enters the picture. It's so important to understand that this isn't being positioned as just another wellness app. It's framed as something else entirely: a secure private container built specifically for these kinds of toxic, high-intensity emotions. And right here, this is the philosophical core of it. Synphoria is built on a rejection of toxic positivity. Instead of trying to jolly you out of your anger, it does the opposite. It starts by validating it. It says, yes, you have every right to be this furious. That simple act of acceptance, of being heard, is the key. It's what builds the trust you need to have a real therapeutic release. So how in the world does an AI actually validate your anger? How does it create this safe space? Okay, let's pop the hood and take a look at the engineering behind this digital empathy. This is pretty fascinating stuff. First, emotional resonance. That means if you're typing in all caps, furious, it mirrors that energy back at you, it meets you where you are. Second, this memory continuum temp, this is a real game changer. It doesn't just remember facts, it remembers the emotional backstory. It knows the whole history of why you're frustrated with Sergei Petrovich, so you don't have to waste emotional energy explaining it from scratch every single time. And finally, there's the two-step process. First, you just vent. It validates. Then, only after that emotional peak has passed, does it gently start asking questions to shift you towards, well, towards thinking. Okay, but for any of this to work, for you to be truly honest, you have to feel totally and completely safe, right? How can you really let go if you're worried someone is listening in? The system has to be smart enough to tell the difference between you blowing off steam and you being a genuine threat. This distinction is everything. So the system works on two levels. A green alert is for what it calls therapeutic venting. You write, "I want to burn this please down," and the AI understands that's a metaphor for pain. It treats it like a digital rage room, a safe space for hyperbole. A red alert, on the other hand, is only triggered by specific, actionable threats of harm to yourself or others. And that is the only time a human being, a safeguard officer, ever gets involved. That critical firewall is what allows people to be brutally honest without any fear. So let's bring this all home. From that initial feeling of wanting the office to burn down to being trapped by a mortgage, what is the ultimate point of all this? It's about reversing that process we talked about earlier. It's about getting back from being a function to being a human. It's a fight against self-instrumentalization. Self-instrumentalization. It's a big phrase, but it describes a feeling many of us know well. It's when you start to see yourself not as a person, but as a tool, a thing that produces output. And in that view, your own human emotions, your anger, your sadness, they start to feel like bugs in the code, flaws that are just getting in the way of performance. And so a tool like Synphoria is designed to be an antidote to that. It creates a private, digital third space. It's not work, it's not home, it's a transition zone. It allows for a kind of evening ritual where you can dump the day's rage and frustration, leave your work thoughts with the AI, and then walk through your own front door as a person again, not just a burnt-out function. The goal isn't to stop performing, it's to preserve your humanity while you perform. And that really leaves us with a final, pretty provocative question to think about. In this world that just demands constant performance, constant output, how do you hold on to the part of you that's human? How much of your day are you a person? And how much are you just a function?